What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Zach's Live Trader. In this case, it is the morning after. Here with you, as always, I am the bearded boy wonder, Dave Bartosiak, and today, my friends, is a glorious day. I'm feeling it. My swagger is back. Had a rough go of it. Had a couple weeks of just really some nasty stuff going on. And, as always, I don't know about you guys, but whenever things aren't going according to plan, I always kind of take a step back, see what's wrong, what's been happening, why, right? You got to figure out the why. And my why, I think, was simple, is I was just going away from my bread and butter. And my bread and butter is this thing right here. The Zach's Rank and these price, consensus, and EPS surprise charts. I mean, it's just that simple. Trying to get too cute, going too short term, too much of a coin flip on a lot of the stuff we were talking about. And I needed to rely back. I'm sorry, guys, I need my Epic pen. I had to rely, go back to the girl you got to dance with the one you took to prom, right? The one I took to prom was price, consensus, and EPS surprise charts. And that's why I made the Ulta call. Let's look at Ulta here. So remember, guys, got a little bit of a delay from when I see stuff pop up in the chat to when you're going to hear me talk, right? About a 30-second delay, I think. But that's okay. Anywho, Ulta. So these guys had a pretty darn good report. First quarter EPS well above expectations. Huge comps. I think the comps were like 14% or something like that. Which is crazy. Or same store sales, right? Which is bonkers. Remember I was talking about this rewards program they got going on over there? The rewards program grew at a 20% annualized pace. Now there's 24.5 million active members. They've raised their guidance for next quarter. And there you go. So, very bullish reaction to it, obviously. Let me get back to, let's just look at the daily. It's gapped up above this resistance here at 300, which is great. Trading 305 today. A little bit of selling, though. Right? You got the big gap up. Ran out of gas right at 310. I mean, on the nose. So, Mr. Newman, your calendar spread, I think you're going to be okay. But it's too tough. I mean, this is crystal ball territory, so I don't know, man. I don't know. Wait till you get closer to the close and then see if you do need to adjust that 310. Because either way, the 310 short call that you have is going to be cheap towards the end of the day, unless there's a huge rally, right? So you might be able to get out of it for very cheap. But you'll see. But here, so this 303 is kind of the short-term floor for this to 310. So I think, you could sit here and watch this all day, or you could put a couple price alerts on it, depending on what sort of trading platform you have. You could set alerts, and, a little bell will go off if this thing goes under 303, or if it goes up above 310, okay? So there's that. Nice gap up, though. Very nice. Now, I know there's a few of you who put the trade on Wednesday, saw the big jump up yesterday, and cashed out. This is fine. You guys, I don't want anybody going back and kicking themselves because they're like, oh man, I should have held. No, man. Like, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. So if you put on a trade and in one day you got a nice little return on the trade, go ahead and rip it, man. It's fine. You're not going to get broke taking profits, right? So no regrets. Let me see. And this is kind of silly, I know, because there's a little bit of a delay on this. But remember my old, really? E-mini footsie? Get out of here. I don't know if you remember my old little cheap real-time quote software I was using, but as cheap as they were, I didn't like it, man, because I kept crashing. Like, I don't care if I'm paying $20 a month. I know that's not a lot of money, but I shouldn't have something crashing on me all the time. I mean, it's super annoying. So I think what I would be looking for, guys, yes, this is what I'm looking for right now is Ulta follow-up trades. So where'd the gap up go to? 293 was yesterday's close. Are there any 290 puts? This can't still be this much money. So I'd be looking for guys, who's got real time? I could make this happen actually real time. Sell some 290 puts, 290, 285 calls or put spreads, whatever it is. Sell down into yesterday's range if you can get that. Puts down to yesterday's range. I think, honestly, man, I don't know. I really got to keep an eye on this thing. Because you got to worry about this gap maybe getting filled. Right? You got to worry about it. Now, the thing is, what are the odds of a late day rally that pushes us over 310 today? I don't know that it's that good. I think maybe the push higher could be over. We got to see. We're at a critical point right now. And look, we are under the VWAP. So there's been a little selling into this very nice number that we have. It could hold this gap, and then you'd be good selling things down in here. It's just too early to tell. So this is the thing. So I'm going to give you a game plan, though. If Ulta breaks 303 and you want to roll the dice, you should be looking to be long puts. That's right. You heard me. Long puts in this range. So if you can find one cheap, super cheap, you can do that. And you can even offset it. So you can go long one of these and then short the ones further out here. So that's one idea you could do. So if it starts to unwind, you'll make money on the long put side, and then you'll still pocket the short put that's out of the money. I think that's something I'm looking to do, but I don't know what the juice is right now. It's going to be coming down. So right early in the morning is when you get a little bit of volatility still inside of these things, and then they'll evaporate very quickly. So I think that's what I'd look for. Let's go ahead and fire this up again. These are supposed to be... These are delayed a little bit, but shouldn't be this far off. I mean, this is way off. I'm gonna try and fire up some real-time stuff next time. I think I'm gonna have like E-Trade Pro going while we're looking at this. But that's what I'd be looking at, guys, for a quick little follow-up on Ulta. Breaks here, then I'd be buying a put out of the money in the hopes that I can make a few bucks here today. And again, this is real risky stuff, but compare that to just going short Ulta, right? So I can clearly define how much money I'm going to have at risk because I'm just going to buy that put option, so I'll know exactly how much it's going to cost. So it'll be a good way to go. Unless these are super expensive. And if these are still super expensive, just get further out of the money and sell a put spread. And you could do the same thing, honestly, selling a call spread out of the money. But I want to see how this reacts first, right? So if it gets in the gap, might be able to make it happen. Front, Dave. I'm looking front. Like today, right? I'm talking very short-term ideas, like day trade ideas for today. Yes, today. Because we're talking short, quick follow-up trades. I don't think that Ulta over the course of the next, I know people love to say gaps get filled, right? But given that report, remember what we were talking about? It's all about the post-earnings drift, right? So what the market's basically saying so far today is, whoa, 310 is maybe a little bit too enthusiastic here for Ulta. So they sold it out at 310. But the stock's still up, and I think you're going to get a little more post-earnings drift that's going to take place here on Ulta, right? It has the good day, and then it could drift. Now, again, you also got to compare to what the market's doing. And the market's sideways today. Not a lot going on. Dr. Paul, I don't know what I want. I guess just look at a few of them. Where's the 300? Where's the 300 put? That's what I'd like to know. And like I said, I could pull this up, but I don't know about you guys, but I got all this I got like authentication that I need like on my phone, so I get like the security key with this number that every 60 seconds it changes, and I have to. It's at 120, huh? 120 on the 300, huh? Man. Okay. Anyway, let's go back to, like I was saying, the S&P 500 dailies. A little bit flat today, right? Sort of break even on the session. The NASDAQ coming down a little bit. Let me get some real-time stuff here on the S&P 500. See if I can do. See if I can't find something on this. That's another option too, guys. AJ, I'm glad you brought it up. So I'm looking at a couple things you can do for a quick day trade, right? For a day trade, if it breaks down below 300, I'd be looking to buy or if it breaks down below 303, I'd be looking to buy like a 300 put. Right? That's a big if though. If it doesn't and it bounces, then I'd be looking to sell that same put. I'd be selling a put spread in here. A put spread in the gap, or if there's any juice. I don't think there's going to be any juice down at the 295s or whatever. But the other thing that you can do is you can just go out to next week and you could sell, where are next week's 290s, right? And basically what you're saying is that Ulta's not going to come back down into this bar, right? Like the report was good enough. So selling anything down out here, put spreads for next Friday might be a solid way to go too. In the hopes that even if the gap gets filled, it's not going to get into this candle. So I think that might be an easy one to take a look at. This should be a little bit more accurate now. If we're looking at next week's put spread. The 290s. Here's the 292. Where's the 290? Hey, Dr. Paul, where's the 292.50 put for next week at? That I would like to know. Next week, 292.50 put. Because we might be able to get in here and do some dirt. So that's where I would look at there, I think, for Ulta. Okay. So how many of you guys actually went and put something on Ulta? I see a few of you. Just wondering how many of you managed to do it. That would be cool. Who did it? 30 by 50. Okay, word. I keep forgetting there's a delay here. Yeah, next week. So who put on an Ulta trade? Is anybody putting on Ulta? I'd like to see. A few of you guys, right? And was everybody going out to June 16th? No love. They didn't fill you, huh? Were you at the midpoint when you were trying to get filled, Mr. Chumber? Because sometimes, I mean, it is hard though sometimes to get filled on these things. Okay, cool. All right, so Ulta did good. A lot of you guys did good on Ulta, so that's kind of a follow-up that we can do there. Okay, so this is good. All right. Then the other one. How about that Best Buy, huh? Man. I think, guys, that this little Best Buy thing is going to be the opposite of what we're seeing in Ulta right now. What do I mean by that? So Best Buy is like this wonderful gap up, and this ran into the close yesterday. Hey, AJ, that's great, though. You bought for 3, you sold for 7. That's spectacular. I was talking about that earlier in the day, during the session. Man, if you get more than double up in one day, just forget about it. Don't take on the risk of the next thing. Just don't take on the risk. Just not worth it. You already doubled up on your money. You sell it, and you go on to the next one. Trades are like buses. There's another one coming, like right around the corner. You just got to wait. They'll be here. They're always here. Just got to find them, and they're everywhere. So don't beat yourself up about like, oh, if I would have held it, it would have been $1 bazillion. Like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. I'm going to tell you guys a little story, by the way. And I'm gonna leave the people anonymous to protect their privacy. But a buddy of mine bought, let's just say, let's call this, I don't know. I'm just gonna use, okay, so it was Amazon, right? And I'm just gonna use random numbers just to give you some perspective of what happened. So, heading into the earnings report, this was probably 2 years ago now, he was very bullish on Amazon and rolled the dice. He took 5 G's and he bought out of the money Amazon calls. Well, he timed it almost perfectly. And every day Amazon was going up and up and up and up and up until it was the day before the earnings report. So the day before the earnings report, he comes to me and he goes, Dave, like, I have to hedge this. And I'm like, why? He's like, well, here we are heading into the report, and I have my $6,000. I think it was $6,000. The $6,000 is worth $35,000 right now. Like, what do I do? And I was like, well, what do you do? Like, what do you want? Basically, what I asked him is, tomorrow, what's the lowest amount of money you could want that you wouldn't want to punch yourself in the face? And he was like, well, like 25,000. I was like, okay. So what we did was, on part of the position, we sold out of the money calls against it. So half of his position was essentially a call spread, and the other half was just a call. So by doing that, we made sure he had 25 grand in the bank, right? Amazon reports, and it kills it. Had we done nothing, had I just not helped him at all, he would have had $135,000 that day. Because I helped him, he only had 90. But I didn't feel bad at all, and he didn't feel bad at all, because the day before, we were seriously like, what do you want to guarantee so that you don't freak out, right? What do you want to lock in so you're not going to cry? And that was the answer. So you can't have any regrets about it because you don't have a crystal ball. Because very easily he could have woke up the next day and had zero, right? So that's what happened. So by ensuring that he was going to have at least 25 grand, he lost out on 45 grand. But you can't even look at it like that because you could have had zero if you didn't hedge it out. So it is what it is, man. But the thing is, there's going to be another trade, okay? There's going to be another trade that pops up. And that's what you got to ask yourself, especially when you're trading these options, is like, tomorrow, am I going to hate myself if I have $0, right? And if the answer is yes, then you shouldn't be in these trades. It's that simple. And you take it on a trade-by-trade basis. I'm not talking about your entire account, right? But we still left plenty of money on the table for him to participate in the upside. And that's why we only hedged half of it. If we hedged the whole thing, he would have lost out on $90,000. It would have been a lot less money. So just set your boundaries, man. Set your expectations, and don't second guess yourself, right? Just do it, boom, and then go on to the next one. Because there's a lot of stuff to be mad about, especially when it comes to trading options. Because it's like, oh, I left so much money on the table. It could have done this. It could have done. No, it could have gone to zero, and that's what you gotta think of. It could have gone to zero. Okay. I saw somebody talk a little bit about Ulta. There we go. Look at Ulta. Yeah, guys, I think this is going to let loose. I think Ulta's going to let loose here. They might get in this gap a little bit, but this is the thing. Algos love to do this. Make sure that this isn't some algo BS right now, because it could be. Do you see how they dipped you down just a little bit into this, and now it's ticking up? Maybe it's not. No, it's not. All right, fade it. I think I'm fading. This is a fade. You could sell calls up here. You could buy puts down here in the hopes that they fade it a little bit more. Lots of action here on Ulta. And again, guys, I always say, like, I would rather do this using options than going short the actual stock. If you go short the actual stock, you can have, let's say you have $1 stop loss, right? So then once it gets up to 303.12, you're out. Whereas if you found a put that cost you $1, it could go all the way up here and then come down, and then you'll be fine, right? Yeah. Where are those puts at, boys? Where are those puts? Or you can sell out of the money calls here, the 306s on the other side of the VWAP. Sell those for a little bit, see what happens. Lots of stuff going on there. Lots of opportunities to day trade the Ulta right now. What's happening with Best Buy? Again, look at this. Look at this. Gap down. Sputtered to the VWAP. Sold to the VWAP. Sold. Is the market coming under pressure? Oh, I forgot I was going to fire up my my Ninja Trader. Sorry, guys. You know, I cough a little bit in the morning. I don't know what the heck's going on. This has been, I think it's like the AC. Kurt, like today. Like today, Kurt. Like right now. Like right now. What's this market doing? Now the market's actually rallying a little bit. This is kind of, ugh, right? Kind of choppy here. I don't know if I still get the data. Do I still get NQ data? I do. So here's the NASDAQ 100 futures. This is some chop city right now. Woof. Woof. Okay, getting choppy out there. So Best Buy is taking a turn to the downside. Remember, we were talking about ripping those. I don't know if you guys got the good, the bad, and ugly yesterday. I was talking about ripping that Best Buy trade. I still suggest ripping the Best Buy trade. And look, to give you some perspective, bottom of the Best Buy gap, 56.30. 56.30s. Dr. Paul, I mean, for real, dude. I don't eat late night. I don't have acid reflux. It's 100% this post-nasal crap. I don't know why it happened. I hate it. How do I fix that? I need to fix it, Paul. It's super annoying. And it wasn't as bad until I got down to here in Florida, man. And then all of a sudden it's just like, what the hell? Dr. Paul, you're not an ear, nose, and throat guy, are you? I'm going to be going to Dr. Paul. Doc, what about Dave? Okay, so Best Buy, I think, remember, you got to look at this post-earnings gap up. So that's a key level for Best Buy. This could be coming down to retest that. Enthusiasm sort of waning from yesterday. This is what I love to see, too. I don't know if you guys ever do this, but I'll look at a lot of individual names and try and get a beat on the macro picture, like the big market, right? Newman, isn't that awesome? So this is what happens during earnings, like early on. Early on, when Ulta was up here, right close to 310, it looked like it could continue to break out to the upside. So then those 310 calls are a lot of money. Lots of money. And then it just fades super quickly because just the odds of that happening and that rally happening just go to zero, right? As far as today goes. So that's why I love looking at some of these options plays early in the morning and then just picking up something maybe. It's great. This is great. Okay, so back to Best Buy. I need to focus on this. So again, I think maybe I can make this more attractive. Using the 5 minutes. The earnings gap. Best Buy could be coming down to that earnings gap. I'm not saying it's going to happen today, but that could be happening. Could be coming to test that. So we could sell 60s. Sell 60 calls underneath the VWAP here. This is the problem, though. What happens a lot is like these things all day will kind of trickle around, and then all of a sudden, at the end of the day, you'll get that ramp up at the end of the day into the weekend. Now, we got a long weekend coming. Is the VIX doing anything? That's crazy. VIX under 10. Under 10. Who'd have thunk that the VIX would be under 10? Who'd have thunk? All right. VIX under 10. What I do like to see is this dollar-yen thing. I've been fascinated with this dollar-yen play. Because look at what this bad boy did. I got my little risk on, risk off, right? Downward trend channel. Let me just get this out of here. Downward trend channel. And then it bucked that trend channel. Got up to the 23.6% retracement of the broad move from November to December. And then stalled out again. Stalled out again. Ran out of gas. Stalling out. And now putting out again. I don't know. I just don't know. In why is the yen? The only reason why I follow the yen, so this is kind of global risk on, risk off, right? So when this is moving in the positive direction, it's risk on for equities in general and pretty much everybody. Then when it's coming down, it's the opposite. I pay attention to that because I really like to follow gold prices. And typically, the two of those have an inverse relationship. Or in this case, dollar yen will move in the same direction as gold. Okay, the inverse relationship is yen and gold. So you can get flipped around sometimes when you're talking about these currency pairs and such. But gold on a little bit of a move here now. You know, one of the best guys on earth, frankly, when it comes to gold prices, is Doug Cass. He is just legendary when it comes to this stuff, and I like to follow him a little bit, and he's down here in South Florida, and I asked him what happened. Like it was via Twitter though. I was just asking him, what's the secret sauce, buddy? Like, what do you look at? Do you look at correlations and blah blah blah? Then of course he sends me this article like there is no secret sauce, and it's like okay, I hear you, Doug. I know there's no secret sauce, but there's got to be something that you pay attention to, right? I mean, I think it was a cop out. It was a way to not tell me what happened. You know what I mean? Essentially is what it was. So I think if the yen unwind, or if the yen that yen trade continues, or actually just chops back and forth, that it is in fact bullish for gold. Have you ever seen, I'm going to get rid of all these indicators right now. I'm even going to lose my fib. And I'm going to compare this gold price to the 10-year. How about that, folks? This is gold versus the 10-year. So my thesis on gold right now, or has always been, rather, that gold is a global reserve currency with no interest rate. Okay? That's how I view gold. So when you look at it, what are sort of the main determinants on currencies? Interest rates have a whole lot to do with currencies. So I like to take a look at the 10-year versus gold prices. And you'll see, here's the 10-year yield and gold. So heading into this year, I was very bearish on gold. I'll admit it, because I thought the yield on the 10-year was going to go through the roof. But it hasn't. So I had to go back and revisit my 10-year thesis to actually figure out what the heck was going on with gold. And my 10-year thesis was, okay, rates are going up. Everybody knows this. And, that should have, if the Fed is raising on the low end of the curve, then that should, go out to the rest of the curve, right? And it should kind of normalize. So then when I saw this start to happen, I was like, oh man, unbelievable, right? All of a sudden, yields are down so much, and this just doesn't make any sense. And then the good Dr. John Blank pointed something out. John Blank is one of the guys I work with here at Zacks, and super smart guy. He's got a PhD from MIT. Okay? And he pointed out what should have been obvious to me. He was like, Dave, the recent sort of negative move here in yields, you can't just take this and vacuum. You can't just look at the year-to-date number and go, oh, man, yields are down. Like, what's going on? So you just go out a little further and look at how the 10-year was under 1.4 in July of 2016 and moved all the way up to 2.6 after the election. That move is huge in terms of percentages, okay? So you can't look and go, oh, it went from 1.4 to 2.6. It went up 1.2%. That's not that much. No, it went up 1.2% on 1.4, right? So it actually moved 85%. So having a little bit of a retrace here is normal. And so I was drawing my little trend lines and such, and it looks like, we still have plenty of downside that we could move before anything happened. Now, you did have this sort of shelf that got put in on the 10-year right around 2.3, and we are below that. But globally, there's still a ton of demand for U.S. Treasuries. Because while our rate's at 2.4, where's the JGB? Where are bond yields, right? We're still very attractive when you compare it to that, okay? All right. Now let me dig through. Guys, I got distracted, and then now I've ignored 100 questions in this chat. So let me go and see what we got going on here. All right, so lows. Shorted lows and went long the weekly calls. I like it. I like when you guys use, thank you for coming to Lowe's. I know it's not that Lowe's. I'm singing the movie song. I obviously know this isn't the movie theater. Okay, let me get my moving averages back so I can feel normal. Let me get my commodity channel index back. How about my money flows? How about my volume at price? I can't operate without these things. Well, we'll throw the VWAP on there, even though it's not going to work on this longer term. And then volume at price. I love this horizontal histogram of the volume at price. It's like one of my favorite things on earth. It really is. Oh, nice. Look at that move down lower in Lowe's. Lowe's did that while Home Depot is kind of going sideways, huh? Who's winning here? Definitely Home Depot's winning this one. Definitely. All right, so we got the Best Buy. Talked about Best Buy, more Ultas. Talked a little bit about gold. Do I ever place ratio back spreads? I don't. Doesn't mean I'll never. There's so many different ways to skin a cat, right? There's so many different option strategies that are out there that sometimes I just don't. I just don't mess with all of them, right? So guys, the ratio back spread is you're pretty much like you sell a call at a lower strike and then buy a greater number than you sold at a higher strike price. Okay? So you're still, if you're doing it with calls that way, right, then you're still bullish on that option. It puts an interesting kind of risk versus reward curve. I don't know I think it's Mr. Finch. Is it Mr. Finch? I'm pretty sure. That sends me these emails every once in a while of these ratio spreads that he's put together, or butterflies, or all sorts of other stuff. Shows me these neat little options curve. Have you ever seen those options analyzers where it shows you like, oh, if it's here, this is few standard deviations away, then the odds of this happening are X, and the odds of this happening are Y, and they're pretty cool. But I kind of chalk those like option simulator things. We used to there's this thing called Morningstar Workstation, where it's a Morningstar product, obviously, that is a mutual fund analyzer, and you could put together these portfolios and try to, get like the coolest Sharpe ratio and the most alpha. And my boss used to call it Morningstar PlayStation, because you could just sit there forever and waste your time just messing around and, trying to make the perfect portfolio, so then you can use that to pitch to people. It was pretty funny. So when I think of these options analyzers and all this other stuff, it's the same thing. Like, I could get lost in there for hours just messing around with this stuff, going back and forth. So still talking Best Buy. Why don't we look at Amazon's? Look at Amazon, man. Well, you guys already know I ate crow on Amazon, right? And again, should have never. I mean, Dave, what are you doing? Like, this is when I was in my dark period, right? Where I was like trying to outsmart myself or something. I don't know what the heck was going on, but it wasn't working for me, that's for sure. But look at Amazon, man. Just had to go to 1,000, right? Incredible. Just going to be ticking up there. Okay, Bitcoin. Wonderful. Definitely want to talk about Bitcoin. So, Bitcoin's very divisive right now because, and let's see, do they have Bitcoin on this? I don't think they have Bitcoin on this. I'm going to find a Bitcoin chart and put it over here. There's a lot of people going back and forth about Bitcoin and what it should do and where it should be and all this. And I just have a much simpler, I guess, thought process than a lot of people do when it comes to Bitcoin. And you know me, I'm all about the KISS method, man. Keep it simple, stupid. You can make this as complicated as possible or as easy as you want, really. And this is what I'm. So a lot of the demand from Bitcoin, well, there's two parts, right? So one's like, oh, this whole blockchain thing is actually going to get legitimized. Although in that case, I would argue that Ethereum is better than Bitcoin. A. And then B, it's China. It's mainland Chinese people trying to get their money out of mainland China. So the longer or the more restrictions that they put on there, the more regulations you see coming out of China and all this, it increases demand for Bitcoin. Okay? Now you guys all remember demand, supply, price. Right? It's where you get it when you match it on up. So the way that Bitcoins are mined, their supply is restricted. So look at the market cap on this. Holy smokes. 38 billion? Wow. Anyway, so the supply is restricted. So now you have increased demand, and it's not like you can just go out and they can just dig up a bunch of Bitcoins. They mine them through these complex algorithms that take forever to calculate right now, given the current kind of computing power that's out there. So it limits that supply that's going to be coming out there onto the marketplace. But there's no limit to the demand side of things. So people are talking like, oh, this is like tulip bubble stuff. This isn't even close yet. We're just scratching the surface right now. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have another, just wait, because there'll be another, Mt. Gox situation or whatever, where one of these Bitcoin places gets hacked and then all of a sudden Bitcoin plummets and goes crazy. There's all sorts. Yeah, you can turn Bitcoin into money. You can go back and forth. That's what this whole trading thing is. So you can go and buy a bunch of Bitcoin and hard currency, hold it. You can literally get Bitcoins. There's ATMs down here in Miami that shoot out Bitcoins. I could take $2,500 to an ATM and get a Bitcoin. And then you can lock it away in a safe and then 10 years later bust it out. There's some guys arguing that Bitcoin, they want to make this like the standard for international, like standard for delivery. Back in the day, it used to be something called gold that they used for that. And now they're talking about Bitcoin. There was a guy saying that Bitcoin could go to $1 million of Bitcoin and be like the standard upon which these major financial firms move money back and forth. Think about that. So there's a lot of demand here, and that's why we're getting a huge spike now. Is just huge demand coming out of really China, because you can buy, if you're a Chinese guy and you're trying to get money out of the renminbi and into, other. Now, that was why do they call it the yuan and the renminbi? Is it like on the mainland you call it the renminbi, and then globally they call it the yuan, and it's like a different, anyway. But if you want to get money out of mainland China, like that's what you do. You have to get it, you have to move it somehow. So they buy up a bunch of Bitcoin, and then they can send it wherever, and then you can cash it in on the other side. But yeah, Bitcoin, I don't think that this is like the last chance or you got to go rushing in. This is going to be one of those things where you're not going to time it properly. But I honestly, personally, I think it's worth the roll of the dice, just because what if? What if it becomes like a global standard for something, right? $2,300 for a Bitcoin. Wait for it to crash a little bit. Go ahead and buy a little bit, and there you go. So I think there's a little bit of an opportunity here. I don't think it's going to be as ridiculous. And yeah, Mr. Newman's right too. Macau, how are you going to go? Bitcoin and Macau is basically how the Chinese get their money out of mainland China. There are guys in Macau that get paid to lose money at tables, which is crazy. So there you go. So supply restricted. I would hold the actual coin, the physical coin, absolutely. I would want the hard coin in my hand. I wouldn't want to mess with any of these stupid exchanges. Like, I would mess with the exchange just to get my Bitcoin and then get out. I wouldn't want to sit around and wait for one of these guys to get hacked and then you lose all your money. Just like gold, right? You get the actual gold and you put it away somewhere, and it's awesome because you can just pick up and go, just in case something pops off. So it's great. I think it's super cool. I think it's worth the roll of the dice. And yes, the actual physical hard currency of the Bitcoin. I got into an account. I had an account, but Bitcoin was at like 200. And like right before I funded it, the place that I was with got hacked. And I was just like, so that was really the barrier to entry, was just all this hacking stuff that was happening. But right now, like, I'm getting people on this. Now, you guys asked, and this is probably the first time I've been asked a Bitcoin question in our live Q&A, that's for sure. But normal, everyday people, no, they got physical coins. Paul, they got physical Bitcoins. There are physical Bitcoins. They like put the thing on it. All right, I'm going to have to Google this a little bit more. If these are just stupid collectibles or if this is a thing. Because I thought it was an actual thing. Because it gives you like the actual like number on it. You have like the serial number on it that's like registered. I'm going to keep looking into this because they have that ATM I was telling you about. There's Bitcoin ATMs all over the place. So how do you get it if there's no thing? You know what I mean? Yeah, I looked at it because I was Googling this. Because they have like physical Bitcoins, but I don't know if this is just like a silly thing. Anyway. Yeah, New York, they have one. Yeah. There's a way to do it. And it's somehow linked to your actual thing or something, your actual number. I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to look at that later. But anyway, moral of the story is this is kind of cool. I'm fascinated by it, and I don't think it's going away. So, I told you, I read that thing where the guy said that it could literally be $1 million a coin, which would be crazy, right? Even from where we are now. My question is, how much are the Winklevoss twins worth right now? Right? Winklevoss Bitcoin holdings. Let's see, how many? 1%? No. They own 1% of the entire supply of Bitcoin? Is that true? So these guys are bazillionaires. That's crazy. These guys are smart, man. I know they got a bad rap in that movie, but they're smart. I don't care who you are. Anyway, okay. Back to stocks. What else do we got? We got a few minutes here. Bitcoin looks awesome, but it's probably going to crash again. So you can take your time. But I think eventually, I personally going to have a few. Why not? What's it going to hurt? I lose a few $1,000s. Will Bitcoin go up like gold in hyperinflation? If the hyperinflation happens in China, sure will, right? So I think that's where a big source of the demand right now is in China. It would take a monumental cultural shift for us in the U.S. to look at Bitcoin the same way we do gold. If you see right now, we have this kind of like, and I just don't. Let me just go back. We're not going to have hyperinflation in the U.S. It's just not going to happen. It won't. There right now, there are these Bitcoin exchanges that have exotic products and such, but we don't have, like, the Winklevoss twins wanted to launch a Bitcoin ETF, which would have been awesome, would have legitimized Bitcoin, and you would have had options on that one, and that would have been a lot of fun to trade, but didn't work out. The SEC denied it, their application. They were just like, this isn't really a regulated market, so you can easily manipulate it, so we can't have that bouncing around our thing. What else? Yeah, what are we looking for next week? Let's do that real quick before we leave. Earnings whispers. What's on the calendar next week? Broadcom's on the calendar. Analog devices, Palo Alto Networks. I remember being very wrong about Palo Alto Networks. Lulu. We got a Lulu. Good. We're definitely doing Lulu. You know I love Lulu. And we got Restoration Hardware. Already Restoration Hardware? Of course, the Michael Kors next week. We already talked about that. I hope that thing gets crushed. That's right. I said it. Good. So we got Lulu. Lulu's going to be after the bell. Of course. After the bell. I got to do Lulu. So that's after the bell on Thursday. So we'll have to do that Tuesday, maybe. Tuesday, Wednesday. We can do that on Wednesday. And then what do we have before then? What's Wednesday after the close? Again, the Palo Alto Networks, but I looked like an amateur on that one last time. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was totally wrong about that. So it'd be one of these. Box, this is this cloud-based thing, isn't it? When's Oracle next week? What day? Oracle This is a couple weeks, right? I don't know. This isn't verified either. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Broadcom next week. We've done Broadcom a few times. I think we were actually good on Broadcom a few times. That's also Thursday after the close. So we could do a Lulu, Broadcom, whatever. Shoot me the emails. Let me know what you guys want me to do. And we'll see. Look at Broadcom, man. See, I like it when it's like a $200 thing. Well, $200 might get a little expensive. Then these are easier for like credit spreads. We'll see. And then what else? There's got to be something later on in the week too, right? Well, that'll even for next week, Monday. Have we ever done a solar company? I don't know that we ever did a solar company. I think it's because every time I look at the options chain, it was like a little suspect. Casey's General Stores. These guys were good for so long. The run that these guys had was pretty epic. Look at this, from $70 to $130 in a year on a gas station. I mean, this is a gas station, for crying out loud. Gas station stocks going crazy. Let's check in on Ulta. What's going on here? 303, C. Oh. What'd I tell you? This little algos teasing. That was a total algo tease. That's what this was. The algo T. Oh, man. Those jerks. They do that sometimes. They will do that sometimes. Just looking to see this gap, so I'll draw a fib sometimes, see where this gap, if there's any areas. And no, they're just ignoring that too. Yeah, they might just trap this within the range for the rest of the day. Right, I gotcha. What are we looking at? MEI? Let's get out of this 1 minute. Let's go to daily. Ooh, under pressure. They are under some pressure. What does our PNC think about? PNC's not terrible. I'd have to dig into this a little bit more. Very choppy. That's a choppy stock. They already took out that $40 once, though. They took it out once. It's under the 50-day. This thing's coming under pressure. Money flows have gone negative here a little bit. I don't know. That's right, Bill. Summer is right around the corner. Man, those summer doldrums are the worst. Super boring, like watching paint dry. I hate that. When you're trading those, it's, oh, God, it's terrible. It's terrible. All right, folks, I'm going to get out of here. And who knows? Maybe I'll go for a little walk on the beach right now. So, again, guys, if you could shoot me what you guys want to see next week, livetrader@zax.com. I will try and accommodate. Remember, we've got Monday off, so just Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is when we'd be looking to do something. One of those days I want to do the morning after also. Maybe a Friday morning. I don't know. Maybe a Thursday morning. Who knows? Let me see. Kurt, I think you just, I know I'm seeing, just hang on. Just hang on, Kurt. I say you just hold on for a little bit. Amazon also, let's see. Ooh, Amazon heading a little lower here. Yeah, they may be selling into the end of the week. Maybe worth a roll of the dice. Yeah. So, Wade, thanks for hanging out. Welcome. All right, guys. I'm going to get out of here, like I said. So shoot those emails over. Thanks, guys, so much for shooting all these questions out. I appreciate it. I hope you got a takeaway, maybe found a trade or two today while we're doing this. And good luck on the rest of the trading day, Kurt. I want to hear what happened to the rest of that. Well, heck, I'll see what happens on that Ulta call spread, but I think you might be okay. All right. Could be hanging below there. Course down a little bit, but we'll see next Tuesday. All right, guys. So thanks so much for hanging out with me here today on The Good, the Bad. No, wait, this ain't The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. What's this called? The Morning After. And I will see you all next week. Have a fantastic weekend, folks.